Hello and welcome to the Chatty Runners podcast. My name's Dan.
My name is Sophia.
And I'm Andre.
And we have a mutual love of one thing. And that one thing is, after three, 1, 2, 3.
Running.
Of course, yes, there we go. Little bit of participation never goes amiss. And so what better forum to share our love of running than a podcast? And here it is, episode 5. We've made it. It's the Chatty Runners podcast. And the main subject this week will be running with clubs, the pros, the cons, and everything in between. This is the Chatty Runners podcast. And welcome back to the show. So today we're tackling one of the great mysteries of British running life. How on earth are you supposed to choose a running club? And let's be honest, between the super serious speed merchants and the we only run to the pub crews, it can be a little bit daunting. In fact, it's a bit like dating, only sweatier. And we're not just giving advice, we're going to share our own misadventures as well. Well, experience. Let's call it experience. The awkward first nights, the accidental sprint sessions, the moment you realise you've joined a group that's far faster than you are. So buckle up and let's treat this as a guide to finding the club or group that works for you. So my first question, and I'm going to direct this to Sophia. Are you a member of a club currently?
I am.
Oh, and is it a secret club and you're not allowed to talk about it at all? I was kind of hoping you'd expand on that.
Yeah, well, direct question. I gave a very direct answer, but I can expand on that. I am a member of a local England Athletics registered, good old fashioned local running club. That is Ludlow Runners, who are my closest club. And I joined when I moved into the area and obviously immediately found people who were wonderful to talk to, made some really, really great friends through being part of the club and going to the different sessions they had. They have kind of social runs, but they also have running groups that do different sessions together. So if you want to use that as your primary way of doing kind of speed work and quality work, they have options for that too. The reason why I did just give a very kind of short answer to start with is because actually I haven't been to any of the club sessions in a really long time. So it's one of
Okay.
those for me where I really enjoyed being part of the club, made wonderful friends through it. But yeah, actually based on where my training is now and the logistics of when they have sessions, what times I want to be running, whether I'm working from home or in the office or traveling around elsewhere, it actually just isn't the best fit for my life and my training at the moment. But I am still a member, do still go to kind of social occasions. And I definitely wouldn't rule out my training kind of switching back to being more based around their sessions. But yeah, for now, I don't get to them very much.
Okay. And how did you find out about them?
I think it was probably a Google search.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had been a member of a different EA club in a different part of the country previously. So I'd learned about the fact that those types of running clubs existed a long time ago in a different area. So then when I moved here, I knew what I was looking for. Essentially, I knew I was looking for a running club, and I probably Googled it, and then found that the only local option anywhere else would be a really long way for me to get to.
Okay. And of course, one of the benefits of being a member of an English athletics affiliated running club is that you will get discount from sports shoes online. So you can set it up within their app and you will get, tends to be about 10 or 15% off your shoes, which is always an important bonus. So effectively you could pay for any membership fees if you buy maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 pairs of shoes a year if you're so addicted. So let's move on to Andre. Let me ask you the same questions. Are you a member of a club?
I'm a member of a real life in person club and a social club as well, a social online club, shall I say. So the running club that I'm a part of, the in person running club, is Moseley Run Club. I've been part of the club since November last year, and they've only been going since November 2024, I think. So a shout out to Anna, who set it all up as I think a reason to just socially run in the neighborhood, sort of thing. So, and she's doing a good work. You know, they're getting increasing numbers all the time. But the reason why I joined it was basically because I know we were talking about Parkrun a few weeks ago being this social event, but I found that even at parkruns, I was still running on my own, if that makes sense. Whereas part of this club, you know, I'm running and talking to people at the same time, and that's a big boost to my confidence, more than parkrun has ever been at the moment, sort of thing. I mean, it's getting better now with parkrun. I know a few more people, and even people from the running club go to the parkrun that I go to at Cannon Hill. So, and on a Thursday when we are running, we run through Cannon Hill as well. So it's part of our route that we go through. But it's in terms of like my own confidence and getting some running pals essentially who, you know, otherwise I'd just be running solo all the time. So that it was definitely a part of being more social for me. That's the best thing I can say about the run club. You know, I've made some friends. Hopefully that like, they consider me as friends as well. So and that's you know that's a big part of the why I joined the run club.
That's good. And when you obviously when you say friends, I'm all man of my age. I'm taken back to the in betweeners when I do the "ooh friends" with a thumbs up. Um,
Running
which,
friends.
yeah, "ooh funny friends,
It's like
bestest
us,
friends
isn't it?
forever and ever." Yes, absolutely, yeah. Um, we could talk about that later, but so you mentioned social running groups, and Sophia, I will come back to you on this as well because I think I'd like to ask you this question as well. So you mentioned a social running group, and there's a distinct difference between a running club and a social running group. And what's the social running group you're a member of, and what do you think are the differences between clubs and social running groups?
I think that the Moseley Run Club is a social running club. I probably got them a
Mhm.
bit mixed up, and literally everything's you know, social. We finish at a pub at the end, and then we all like sit and drink and everything like that until just for a couple of hours afterwards, and then we go back home, sort of thing. Whereas I am a member of an England Athletics affiliated club that's part of Twisted Running, so I always wear their kit, obviously. But they have a run club which I am a part of. So if I do any races, then I do. Register as affiliated with Twisted Running. So, but that's although it is an England Athletics affiliated club, and they are based in Manchester as well. So for me that's more of a social club if that makes sense.
It it makes it makes perfect sense to me because it's a similar sort of setup to a lot of the internet-based clubs. So there's I think foremost in this, there's 40 Runs, there's Stolen Goat, there's Twisted Running. There's umpteen kind of clubs, running groups that exist on the internet. And Sophia, are you a member of any running groups, any kind of renegade kind of groups or places like that? Or is
No,
that just not
no,
yet got to that
just
rural part of Shropshire?
no, just in person, for the local running club. That's it for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, talking about your local running club, Sophia, do they organise races at all? Do they do cross country? Are they do things like that?
Yeah, all of those. So yeah, that's what I would see as the difference between a traditional running club and a social running club. In my mind, I feel like a social running club or a running group or running crew is kind of probably all easy pace. It's about spending some time out running and then some time, yeah, somewhere where you can have a drink or a coffee afterwards. But to my mind, the traditional running clubs I've been part of, the big thing they offer is that like full spectrum. So
Mhm.
it's your club name that you can have, on your bib in your race results. It's the club that you can do cross country for, and some of the clubs I've been part of have the sort of summer track season and road race leagues and things as well, which again you can represent the club for. Um, my running club at the moment do organise their own races, so there's a lot of effort that goes into putting those on each year and sort of bringing other runners from nearby places and clubs into our sort of home and our roots, and yeah, putting on a good show for them in terms of that as well. So yeah, I think there's a committee, there's social secretaries and a chairman and a treasurer, and there is time spent every year making sure that the books are balanced and the members are getting lots for their membership fee. That does include, yeah, races and socials and training sessions whereby you actually, like I said earlier, you do a bit of speed work or a session with a group, as well as runs where you can just go out on an easy run and just chat to people. And they have them for different lengths as well. So some for short, some for long. They also have, this is a big shout out because I think it's really great. I've not seen it elsewhere necessarily, although I'm sure it happens. They have walk to run groups every year. So a bit like Couch to 5K you can get in the app. They put it on for people who want to come in person and be on that walk to run new kind of start a journey with a group of other people. So at several different points in the year, they will have a new intake of a walk to run group, which I think is really great because it gives them all the benefits of being part of a running club, even though they feel like beginners, but they're all in it together, not just by themselves.
Okay. Yeah. So that's an important point. The events that these clubs put on. So the clubs put on, for example, the club that primarily a member of, which is Telford Harriers. We put on an event called the Ironbridge Half Marathon, which Andre, you know very well from this year's race, and you did very well in it, by the way. Helped Mr. Andrew Goldsby across the finish line there for quite a significant part of it. And it's races like that that could potentially either die out or just be taken over and turned into a cookie cutter event where it's kind of the same kind of idea wherever you go. And it brings money into the club and it allows the club to do things as well, do training, do Couch to 5K sessions, to afford affiliation and to do things like CRB check and DB checks and to make sure that people have got the first aid and the necessary training that they need as well. So these smaller events might be 500, might be 1,000 people are really important. It's important that these clubs survive to do that. But I'm also a member, and I mentioned them previously in this podcast when we talked about running groups, but I'm also a member of 40 Runs Shrewsbury. Now, 40 Runs started by Chris Ford, who is quite a vocal person in the running scene. Um, he started this club and it's kind of like spread from Essex. And there's lots of little satellite clubs that people are a member of. And I went along to the Shrewsbury one earlier on this year after speaking to Karen and Dave at the running show in Birmingham. And I loved it. It was a really nice chilled run. We ended it up a pub and yeah, it's become kind of something else I can do. And the positive is that it's running over in Shrewsbury, so I can go over to another town and run somewhere else rather than just running in Telford all the time. But at the same time, I do like running with Telford Harrier, so they have 2 sessions a week, um, running around various parts of Telford, and it's really, really good. I mean, the Couch to 5K, I know that Telford Harriers have run that before, and there's also always within the first month of the year, within January, there's people who are starting their fitness kick for that year, and they do the Couch to 5K, though I'm old enough to remember when it was actually called chaise long to furlong. That's how old I am, so yeah, terrible joke. I'm a dad. I don't
Yeah,
tell
this
good
can't
jokes.
be real. I don't buy it.
Actually, it's a joke stolen from a comedian called Glenn Moore. He said much the similar, but there we go. So I remember Couch to 5K when it first came out, though then it was actually called chaise long to furlong. No, terrible joke when I read it. I thought it was really good at the time. Anyway, I digress. There are also social running groups that are commercial exercises and well, commercial operations and they kind of have got a brand behind them. And that 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 leaves me a little uneasy in some respects because I like the ethos of just turning up, going for a run, and it being completely social. I'm not necessarily in favor of turning up, being social, and then trying to be flogged some electrolyte drink or pair of socks or a top or something like that. I mean, have you guys encountered anything like that or seen stuff like that?
No, not at all.
Not
I mean,
as clubs, yeah.
I'm I'm very new to the running scene, so all me seeing like clubs and things like that are all like things that have just essentially just popped up on my algorithm. So I've seen them and then done. So I haven't really until I'm actually like about to join one. I haven't really done a lot of research into them previously. So seeing anything like that, but I know that you went to the Rock Up
I did.
event on Monday, didn't you? And I thought that you might have been alluding to something about that.
So yeah, I mean, I let's get this out of the way straight away. I really enjoyed myself. I had a great time. But one thing I noticed about Rock Up is it's not primarily for people of my age group, I don't think, and my ethnic background and all of that rolled into one. Middle-aged men are perhaps not their target audience, is what I'm trying to say here. Now, they are trying to run a business from this, but it's a really positive business. It's a good business, and I had a brilliant time in an international running arena. It's hosted the Commonwealth Games. It's hosting the European Championships. They treated us really, really well. There was lots of social media there, and they were like taking photos and everything. But I did get the feeling that it was, and I was running in one of the faster groups, that I was the outsider rather than the target audience. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, for many, many years, I would have been the target audience for absolutely everything. But it was kinda nice to be on the outside, kind of be a different person in there and see that. But everybody was really friendly, incredibly positive. I mean, I came out of there kind of thinking, "Wow, that was an amazingly positive experience," and I would certainly return. I got to try out some Nike trainers, which didn't particularly enjoy, not my kind of thing, but then again, trainers are a very personal thing. Had some pizza afterwards with them, chatted with a few people, um, just had a very, very good time, and I'd certainly recommend it. I know, Andre, it's in your neck of the woods, so it's just down the road from you.
Yeah.
To be able to run in that environment, and there was I mean, if my local running club next Monday got that many people at their track session, there wouldn't be space for them. Whereas in the big expanse of the Alexander Stadium, there was plenty of room, absolutely plenty of room. So that's a good positive, and the more people running, the better. And I know that they do a Saturday morning run from outside the library in Birmingham. And I think this sort of thing is gonna just expand and expand. It's a really good area, but again, I'm just wary. It's the old cynic in me of any commercial enterprise kind of going saying, "Hey, look at us. We're being socially responsible, but buy this T-shirt," sort of thing. But again, I suppose that's the same with any running club. They want you to buy their kit, don't they?
Yeah, they do, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did see you
I
on
just
their socials though, Dan.
Did you? Very
I did,
briefly.
yeah.
Must have been.
Yeah, but
Must have
you
been. Oh, no. We'll have a shot. It's like the shot of the, shot of the old guy just to show we're inclusive sort of thing. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not photogenic. I'm not the sort of person, if you're trying to sell a product, uh, I'm not the sort of person that you really want as your spokesperson, you know?
but
So
with all due respect to you,
Mhm.
there could be someone who has been probably, like, mulling over whether or not to go to something like that, but then saw the, let's say, the demographic and been like, "Oh, and seen you and been like, "Oh, there's someone like me, so I can go."
yeah,
That's how it
I wouldn't be the
starts.
oldest person there.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I could have inspired somebody.
Yeah.
But as I often say, I'm a middle-aged man. Pretty much, I can walk into any environment and kind of just fit in and feel like, yes, I'm supposed to be here. This universe is mine. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
that's good.
think it's good that, like, you got to feel like an outsider because it then would have that everyone there who, like you say, wasn't your ethnic background, was from a minority, a different demographic. They probably did feel like, wow, this is really for us, and that's amazing because there's obviously so few instances in the running industry where, or so poorly marketed sort of aspects of representation in the running industry. That's probably a really good thing. And but also the fact that you were like, yeah, I'm completely different, but I feel so welcome. That's amazing, isn't it? And I think that's the thing with runners is like it's such a shared experience that can connect us all. We've all felt the struggle of, the last mile of a race or a long run and wanting it to be over. We've all felt the pride of when we achieve something we didn't think we could, or we really go beyond our expectations of ourselves. So I think it's just so powerful that it really can, connect a lot of
Mhm.
people from a lot of different backgrounds together. So yeah, it does sound like a good experience. But I'm interested, do you feel like there was some commercial aspect in terms of sponsor partners, brand partners that you felt was pushed? Because obviously you mentioned at the beginning about, buy these buy these electrolytes. And like I've been to runs that are one-off events that have, a sort of an organizer behind it and a brand in partnership or in sponsorship. But I've never felt like I was being sold to. It's just felt like, oh well, you can try this at the end if you want. You don't have to engage. You don't have to take a tester. You certainly aren't pushed to buy anything. So I always see it as a good thing. I'm just like, you just get to see what's out there and maybe try a different gel if you want to. I've never seen it as a bad thing necessarily, but that maybe that's because I've only ever done them as sort of one-off events rather than it being a club, as in an ongoing, recurring set of runs and activities. But yeah,
Yeah.
not sure what you were thinking of for that.
So it's just a cynic in me. When I look through my social feeds, particularly on Instagram, and there's people who are kind of pushing a product saying, "Oh, I'm delighted to be an ambassador for this," or "I'm an affiliate for this now," and you think to yourself, oh, let's just focus on the running, and then let the product. If you're doing a product placement, then it needs to naturally fall into it, or unnaturally in some cases. You need kind of like make a big thing about it, like Marm, the Tim Stent, he's got a sponsorship deal with a sock company and with a hydration company, and he makes something of it in the videos that he does, and makes a really big thing of it. So there's that sort of thing. But no, there was no pushing of this product. So the uh, contraband, contraband even contraband drink. Nike weren't pushing, saying, "Oh, you not need to buy these trainers now." So it really was a very soft. If it was a sell, it was a soft sell entirely. And yeah, so I'm just a cynic on that side of things. I'm a bit wary, and it's just me, not them. So don't worry, I'm not kind of it wasn't like going into a timeshare. You're in the Costa del Sol, and suddenly they're trying to flog you some timeshare, and they're not letting you leave until you've signed the documentation. So it wasn't anything like that. But it's just my natural aversion, being a grumpy old man, to being sold anything. I'm not buying that. Ugh.
Yeah, you're not getting any electrolytes, but you've got 2 pairs of the, Nikes that you tried on, even though you didn't like them, ready to be delivered
Yes.
next week.
Yeah, they did have some very colourful socks, and I do like my bright colours when I'm running. So they had some fluorescent pink socks, and I was tempted, but I thought, no, I've got too many pairs of socks, quite frankly. So, as somebody who went to that for the first time, would what advice would you give to a first timer turning up to a running group or a running club? They're just going to try them out for size. What advice would you give to them?
Well, I guess, yeah, if you're curious and it's free, why not? If you've got an easy run to do anyway, you'll go and do it somewhere new. If you don't enjoy it, you never have to go back. I guess if someone is nervous or apprehensive about what the experience might be like, um, you can, again, to your point, Dan, like there's a lot on social media. You can take a look through pictures of how it's been run before, what the setup is, how people are dressed or where it's hosted, things like that. I know before when I've been to events, I've had to look up like, oh, where's the nearest like public loo? Because if this run starts in a shop, they're not going to have a loo and I'll need the loo before I run. Maybe, halfway through, just like stupid stuff like that. You can do a bit of research. And then, yeah, just, turn up with a smile on your face, chat to the people organizing it. And yeah, if you see anyone else that looks like they're there by themselves, and just don't be afraid to sort of say, hello, do you want to run with me? Or how did you hear about this event? Because yeah, everyone's really friendly. So you'll soon find people that you do want to chat to, or you can have a good conversation with.
Yeah, that's a good point. You see somebody new, strike up a conversation with them. But sometimes I go to a run. I don't necessarily feel like I want to chat to anyone. I just want to get out there and run and be punished for my lack of activity that day. Andre, did you feel the same when you kind of went along to Mosley?
Yeah, I it's all about the socialness of me. I think I'm at a particular age where if it wasn't for running, the set of friends that I've got now will be the set of friends I will have essentially for the rest of my life. So, and that's a pretty small, tight group. So, but I wanted to expand a little bit, and the only way I was going to do that was to just include my something to do with my hobby. And I found out obviously I was still quite shy and introverted at parkrun. You know, I was just said turning up and doing the parkrun and then just going home. So I'd forced myself into meeting some new people. And if anyone is do your research before, as like Sophia said, it's easy these days. All these run clubs they're all got social media. They're all trying to promote well-being, togetherness, or that social aspects. And it's so you can do your research and see what it's like beforehand, and you can just turn up. And if you don't like it, you can just never turn up again. But most of the time, you're going to turn up, you're going to meet some great people, and they could be that new set of friends who you didn't know. These people who are probably living down the road from you, and you'd never ever interact with them normally, but just because you all have that shared enjoyment of running,
Hmm.
you can just chat about that. You've always got something to talk about because there's so much to talk about with running. You're all going to be possibly running the same events. You're all going to be just chatting, and then you probably have that social bit afterwards. It's definitely helped it for me, and it's definitely a positive that I would always recommend.
Yeah, I mean, for me, one fear of joining any club would be that there's a clique, that there would be a group of people who would be like, no, no, we don't want any outsiders. We don't want anybody new. We've got the club perfect as we want it. Pull up the drawbridge. The club's done. That's as big as it's ever going to get. And I know I've heard stories, and I know that there are clubs that do it for a particular reason that might insist on a minimum pace. So, for example, they'll say, unless you can run a marathon in this time, or a 5K in this time, or a 1,500 meters, or a lap of the track in this time, then you can't join the club. And I think those clubs are now disappearing because they're realizing that the only way to expand is to do things like Couch to 5K, to be more social, to expand the club by introducing maybe m- what some of the more the speed goats, as they're called, the really fast runners, would consider just joggers, just the people who plod along at the back of the pack. But they're as important as the people in the middle and the people at the front, because it's all one big happy-ish kind of family, I think. So yeah, I think there's cliques, but I think those cliques are disappearing.
Yeah, definitely. I know there is another club near me. I'm not going to mention their name, but if I've heard some rumors about this other club, and it's one of the reasons why I would never have wanted to join them, because I think as a slower runner, I don't want to be going into that sort of environment where it's making me not enjoy running. Because I felt like I've worked hard to get to this point where it's one of the best things I've ever done. I don't want there to be any reason why there should be like dissatisfaction about it. So that's why I did my research and didn't join this one club and then joined this other club. Yeah.
It's tricky though, isn't it? Because sometimes you don't know until you're in it what the culture is really like. Because obviously you've just done. I mean, I've I've never heard of literal sort of qualifying times to be part of a
Mm.
club. That sounds mad to me. But on the one hand, I think, as long as we've got lots of running clubs and lots of people running, there will be different types of clubs for different types of people. And obviously, when you get to the level of sub elite and championship times and then elite sport and everything that comes with it, there does come a point where talent is measured and you do fit into different categories based on your performances. So I can see that that's maybe a sliding scale down into some of the run clubs. But I've also been part of a run club that was very long established, like focus on everything from, track and fields, had throwers, jumpers, sprinters, middle distance into then road running and cross country and everything at the other end. And incredibly fast runners, people that are at the British Championships, people that are on the world stage representing Great Britain. And in the sort of regular people groups in that club, also really, really fast runners. But I was part of that and never once felt like I wasn't welcome. Like, yes, I couldn't keep up with runners faster than me when we were doing a 1K rep. I wouldn't be running with the people who could do that in 3 minutes. I would be running with the people that could do that around the same time that I could. But we were all there together doing the same session in the warm up and the cool down together. I would chat to people that were way faster than me, some people slower than me. And that's the thing. Like, I do actually believe that the mixed ability or mixed performance graded groups are really brilliant. So I wouldn't have wanted to have missed out on the experiences I had there if I'd got the impression before joining that it was only for fast runners and therefore never considered myself, qualifying to be in that. So I think it's tough because if a club really isn't treating every runner at every pace equally, then yeah, completely agree, Andre. Like, you just don't want to put yourself through that when you can find a much better club that is more fun and does really value you. But some clubs might look like they're that way inclined. And actually, the reality once you're in there is you're just as welcome. You're treated with the same respect, the same, appreciation, the same enthusiasm of, oh, you're going to be at the cross country this weekend. And how was your race? Even though you took twice as long to do it as someone who was at the front. So yeah, it's tough, but I think you do have to get out there and try them. I know for both of the EA affiliated clubs I've been part of, or the one I was, the one I am now part of, they had the sort of turn up 3 times and then you can make a decision about whether you want to be a member after that. So I think quite a few will let you turn up without a commitment to being a member and give you enough time to make that judgment for yourself.
Yeah, that tends to be the give it 3 and then make your decision. And generally by the third one, you've made your choice. I mean, it sounds like both of your clubs and myself, the clubs and groups that I'm involved in are all incredibly supportive. It's a supportive environment and they don't care. And particularly when you go to a track session, I know that having been somebody who would struggle around at the back and would often be lapped, as I've got faster, I'm now lapping people, and not in a bragging sort of way, but it's just the nature of things. As you're going around the 400-meter track, you will find you will pass people, and I will respond to them in the way that I got the responses from other people. And it's like, keep going, you're doing great, encouraging others and treating people how you would want to be treated.
Yeah, I agree. It's I think my issue is that with these more established clubs is probably I feel a little intimidated, and I don't think I'm ready to be joining that type of club. I think that's more my issue. Yeah, I don't think I'm worthy because I still probably class myself as not a good an okay runner. So that's probably where I stand. I need to hit whatever target that is to feel myself worthy to join this more established club when
If
I could
yeah,
join them and it could be like perfectly fine.
Yeah,
if you
you're
ever want to
definitely
try
worth it,
one,
Andre.
I'll go with you.
Well,
If you
I've,
want to
I've got
try
to
one, I
say,
will be there with you because I love a track session. That's the one thing that's not ideal about where I live now is I'm too far away from a track to do it regularly. But I love a track session. And even what you said, Dan, about lapping people, like, that's the great thing about a track. The fastest runner to the slowest runner, you're never like more than 400 meters away from each other. Like, you still have that shared energy. You're still sharing the session. You are in close proximity. And I love it for that. So yeah, I always wish more newer runners or slower runners or people who just aren't that familiar with the track. I wish everyone could just, yeah, have that experience and come to see just how inclusive a track really can be.
it might be the three of us doing a meetup at one of the rock up runs, just to kind of, because there'll be different groups. And that's one of the good things about when you've got mixed abilities in a group. If suddenly you find that you are at the front of a group that was considered to be the slower of the group, you can suddenly, somebody might come and tap you on the shoulder and say, maybe next Tuesday, go and run with a faster group. That might be better for you. Not in the nasty kind of like we don't want you here way, but in a kind of like you're much better than this. You need to take a step up here, I think.
Yeah, I feel like I'd love to experience a track more. I've only ran on a track once, and that was I think Dudley Park Run starts and finishes on a track, and that's the only time I've ever been on a track. Otherwise, I've always wanted to run on a track, and I didn't realize it was
It's the
so
best.
bouncy. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's the
such a
best.
great feeling
Yeah,
just for that. Yeah,
it's great, and I've got to say, Andre, get yourself down to Ruck Up Running on the Monday night down at the Alexander Stadium. You will not regret it because it's such an impressive environment to be running in. And you might score yourself some free electrolytes or a pair of Nike trainers or something like that, and you'll have a great time. In all honesty, because it's just an amazing environment. I was blown away by the fact that, like, whoa, they held the Commonwealth Games here. They'll be holding the European Championships here in a few weeks, and even if it hadn't been for that, it's just such an impressive place to run.
yeah,
So
I
yeah,
definitely want to run there.
we'll have to
Uh,
do a Monday meetup. Sophia can organise a day that she's over in Birmingham, and I'll drive over, and it would be an amazing experience, I think. So one of the negatives is that competitiveness. com- it might put a lot of people off, particularly if you're not somebody who chases PBs or chases really fast times, and you just want to get round, you want to get fit. But you've got somebody saying, "Oh, why don't you enter this particular race and enter that particular race and do the cross country, and we've got a summer series of these events if you want to enter." I mean, I know that my club does that, but they don't push it on you. They don't say you've got to enter these, and that's something that would put a lot of people off, thinking, "Well, I feel obliged to enter, even though I'm not necessarily told I've got to enter."
I think that's the one of the if it changes the emphasis, if you're not doing it, probably most of us started running because we're doing it for ourselves. Whereas if you feel that pressure to do it for someone else, then uh, is that really the right sort of mindset to do any of this sort of thing? Because it's as long as you're doing it for you, then it's fine. But the moment it starts being that you want to do this because you're trying to make someone else happy, you're trying to score points or anything like that, that's the moment that it definitely starts being a negative towards run clubs.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think that it's a definite positive to push yourself, but you can't really feel an obligation. As a member of a cycling club, I felt an obligation that I needed to pay, to be a proper cyclist. I needed to be able to do time trials and races and mountain biking and all of that sort of thing. And then it suddenly occurred to me, of like, no, you just need to be able to ride a bike and be nice, and that's generally it to be a member of a cycling club. And I think it's the same with the running club. You just need to be able to run and be nice. I think
Yeah.
that's a key thing
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Do you
I
find
agree.
with
It's who's gonna go
do you,
first?
I know it's not running, but do you find with your cycling club, say if you have pods of the faster cyclists and then pods of the slower cyclists, shall we say, do you find that's more of an inclusive, not more of an inclusive, just as inclusive as your running club, or is it more an exclusive sort of club with cyclists?
With cyclists, it's slightly different because you'll find people who will rock up on a bike that they've had for years that's just got the oldest gear on it and things like that. And then you'll get somebody who will turn up on a carbon fiber monocoque bike that's kind of £2,000 just for the paint job, and the wheels are another three. And there's more of a technology based thing. So whereas if you rock up to a run wearing, say, a pair of Decathlon trainers and run with somebody who's wearing Nike, nobody will look down and go, "Oh, don't know what you're wearing now. Yeah, you've laced those up a bit too." It's a little bit more. And I love. Don't get me wrong. I love cycling. I'm the secretary of the club and everything, and I'm heavily involved. It's great, but it can be a little bit cliquey. Whereas running is less cliquey in that sense. So there's less of a focus on what you've got, and there's more of a focus on just getting out and riding. And once you get out on a social ride, and there are different speed groups, and but it's more difficult. You, with the cycling clubs, they will wait at junctions and things like that. But if somebody's really struggling with the longer distances, say, for example, if they're doing like 50 miles and somebody's like 20 miles in and they're really struggling, they'll kind of, there might be a decision that somebody needs to make, say, look, perhaps you're struggling here. And somebody will go back with them to to the meeting point, so they're not on their own. So somebody else will sacrifice their ride. But on the run, it's kind of like you get to the next roundabout and you stop and you wait for the group to kind of like come back together, and then you cross over as one. And so they're similar but different, and I think the ethos is different within running as it is to cycling, because it's more doable. Throw on your shoes, go out for a run. Whereas cycling's might get your bike out, throw on your kit, put your helmet on, get your cycle computer, make sure you've got lots of liquid, and go out and ride. And it's a much bigger investment in time, I think. You know, and one thing I would say also about running clubs and running groups, when they have like, we're meeting up on Wednesday night at this time at this place, it makes you accountable to turn up, I think, because it's like appointment exercise. It's like park run, but you feel like, okay, I want to go and run with a club tonight. I'll go and run with a club, and you know that there's going to be 3 or 4 different groups, or they might say, we're going to do a special run from a special location. We'll stop for ice creams halfway around. That has happened in the past. Would you find that that's the same with your clubs?
Yeah, I think for me, when I've been most sort of diligent and dedicated to turning up to the sessions, it probably was once I'd first joined the club I was part of in Warwickshire, and wintertime, going for a run, if that's lower on your priority list because life is busy, then in the evening in winter, going for a run, getting out, getting your endorphins and being with people and having that social aspect is kind of the two birds with one stone. And then you're less likely to think, oh, it's dark already at 4 o'clock. I've come home from work. I'm just going to go to bed. It actually, I think in winter is incredibly motivating to say, okay, well, don't end the day just yet. Let's get our running kit on and get out there and see people and have a great time. So yeah, I think in winter over spring and summer and autumn when it's usually quite appealing to go out for a run anyway. It really makes a difference.
I mean, would you say safety in numbers as well, particularly in winter? I mean, it's difficult to imagine winter at this moment in time with the sun blazing through my window and superheating my office here.
Yeah, I never have been that worried about the safety part of it, which is probably maybe a lack of intelligence or something on my part. But that's not been something I've been too concerned about. I obviously wear high vis, but generally I feel fairly safe running in the dark. But yeah, definitely when I was part of the club in Warwickshire, we would run around the university campus. That was lovely because it was, traffic free paths and kind of running around the block, and obviously the track as well was super safe for that reason, being on a really well lit track. So yeah, there's definitely that benefit to it. But yeah,
And
I
just
tend
right,
to just
was that
go with high
University of
vis.
was that University of Birmingham? Did you go to university in Birmingham, Sophia?
I did, but no, the university that was in Warwickshire was University of Warwick, so it's actually on the outskirts of Coventry. But they have a lovely campus there.
Yeah, Warwick's a lovely place. I plan to run there at some point. It looks beautiful. Been lucky enough to work there, so it's on my running list. But Andre, going back to you, do you feel that there's safety in numbers, and the not an obligation to turn up, but just a motive to turn up, a reason to turn up because they're organising a run?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the reasons why I chose that run club is because it was one of the few run clubs in my area that started a bit later because they start at 7 o'clock on a Thursday for their run. Because anything 6 o'clock, half six is difficult for me to get to. So so I know that as soon as I get home, I've got to, it gives me something to do in the evening because majority of the time I come back from work, I'm not doing anything in the evening. So I actually enjoy the fact that I've actually got something to hold myself accountable for at 7 o'clock on a Thursday. I mean, I might not be able to make every Thursday. It's like I think last week I didn't go, but because I went out to a gig, but I was driving past at 7 o'clock where the meetup was, so I actually saw them all there, congregated and everything like that. So it was nice. And regarding the safety in numbers, I'm very aware of my surroundings when I'm running on my own, um, particularly in my area, because I think it was last year, we had a few instances where people were getting attacked. So um, I'm aware of what I look like, and some people may not like what I look like and may just target me for random things. It might not happen. I'm probably just being very um over dramatic, but it's
Not at
just
all, mate. Not
when
at all.
and I know I've got male privilege as well, so I'm aware of that as well. But when people were getting attacked, like last year, just randomly on the street, and things were happening in my area, it just sort of made me think. You'd run past someone, and then they'd just give you a little look, and you'd think, oh, is that a sign that is something going to happen to me, or even myself, just when I'm running, it's I don't want anyone to be frightened of me. I'm just like a big teddy bear sort of thing. So, but as I said, I know what I look like, and to some people, that might um, be considered to be threatening or
They're
something like
idiots.
that. Yeah, and
They're absolute idiots. Because quite frankly, having met you on numerous occasions and done this podcast with both of you, you are both lovely people. And let's not give in to hate. Let's just, if somebody's out for a run, yeah, they're going for a run. They're not doing me any harm. I don't care what they look like. Not giving you any grief. So why should it bother them? Unfortunately, that's just the world we live in, isn't it?
yeah,
There are
definitely.
idiots out there, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know we had a run, a club run, probably a couple of months ago, and I was running with a couple of other women, and one of the women were probably about 10 meters ahead of us, and it's the first time I've ever seen this. Across the road, one of the women got like catcalled from someone just waiting at the bus stop on the other side of the ring, and it was horrifying to um to witness. And we tried to call him out, the person on the other side, but I think it was just like a homeless guy who probably wouldn't even care, sort of thing. But it was just disgusting to look at. And then the woman who was standing next to me, also running, and she made a comment, so she's like, I'm running with you. That would never have happened to me because I'm running with you. But the woman 10 meters ahead, she experienced that. And you just end up as a male, you're just embarrassed that there are other people who just feel the need to just shout at someone from across the road. And it's just, it feels like it just lets the side down. So definitely running in a group for people who are um, wary of solo running. Being part of a club is definitely beneficial for that sort of thing. If it gets them out and they're not concerned, then it's only a positive for me.
That's great. So, final word on this subject. If somebody who's new to running, they've done Couch to 5K, they did it through the app on the BBC Sounds or Spotify or whatever format they've done it in, and they want to take it to the next step. They want to go to a 10K. Would you say go and join a club, go and join a social running group? You will find the advice, the help, the support you need there. Sophia, what would you say?
50-50. I'd say go and join a running group if you want to try something new, meet new friends, learn new routes, and and or to all over those, find ways to improve your running through running with others and having people who are your pace or push you to run slightly faster, etc., etc. Then try Run Club. I don't think you necessarily need it to progress up the distances, and I also think you could say, "I only ever wanna run 5K," and still get loads of benefits from a Run Club. So I'm not sure that that would be something I would say is, like, the definitive criteria as to why someone should definitely try it or not. The advice part is the part that I'm not sure I agree with, because while it is I've made such wonderful friends and I have had lots of great wisdom through people I've spoken to at run clubs that I've been part of, you also have people who are incredibly well-meaning, but give advice that isn't good for you or isn't necessarily the most recent research. For instance, they might be operating off research that was really prominent in their running heyday, which was 20 or 30 years ago, and they still love the sport and they love being part of a club and helping to organize and volunteer. but what they're providing isn't necessarily up to date. I mean, one example of this was someone, I think she was in her 80s by the time I was part of this running club, and she would come and she would coach some of the speed sessions, and she'd had a long career of coaching, people competing in athletics and competing in running. And she, not that long before I joined, was still asking the female athletes to like weigh themselves and give their weight and make sure they didn't gain weight and in some cases lose weight. So she had a real focus on body size and weight as it pertained to performance. And she obviously wasn't doing that, for people like me who weren't running impressive times. But the fact that that was kind of even in some of the culture, it things like that where you think, gosh, she really just wanted athletes to get the best for themselves. But my gosh, the risks of all sorts of, trauma and really negative impacts that can cause. It was, yeah, things like that where you think, gosh, not only is that kind of bad advice, but potentially really quite dangerous and not through anyone's intention of causing harm, but it can happen. So I would say do your own research. Any advice you get, just cross reference it, do some research, listen to podcasts, learn for yourself, read books, do whatever, follow your interest in whatever interests you. But I would say take advice with a pinch of salt and always kind of go into it with that curious mindset of, oh, would that advice work for me? Could I try this? Because even if something's really great advice, still might not be right for you in your body, in your stage of life, with your like genetics and everything else that makes us all individuals. So yeah, that's the bit that maybe not.
That sounds perfectly reasonable to me. Andre, over to you. Give you the final word on this. I know that I am an advocate for clubs and groups and running with other people. What would you say to Andre from, say, 18 months ago about running with a group or a club?
I know that I did it because something was missing from my running journey. I don't think I necessarily needed it, and it probably hasn't made me a better runner or the sort of things that my own club anyway. Um, I think I would have been at the exact same stage as I am now, but we're probably with fewer friends, if that makes sense. So from my point of view, if you feel like you're missing something, whether that's the social aspect to your running experience, then feel uh, I would totally recommend joining a run club. But as Sabia said, do your research first beforehand. A lot of these run clubs are on social media, so you can go to one session, you can go to three. If you don't like it at any point, don't feel obligated to stay. You can always go. You can always go to different ones. Um, just make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons. Make sure you're doing it for you, and as it doesn't have to be. You're not going to. You might not improve physically, but if it's going to help your mental health, it's going to help your social experience. Then which is the reason why I did it, and it was definitely it definitely helped me. It's all about confidence for me. Someone who lacked confidence like probably 18 months ago to where I am right now. It's all because I've pushed myself to. I've joined a run club. I've started to do things that I never would have ever done, and it's just one step at a time. And joining a run club is one of those steps. So,
Right. I mean,
yeah.
you've really, as you said, you've pushed yourself in the last 18 months. You've met two strangers, random strangers, one who slid into your DMs and another one who was brought along kind of as somebody yeah, it's all very weird. So thank you so much, guys, for this chat. As always, it feels like it's a 5-minute chat, but it's lasted much longer than that. Shall we move on to the cool down, guys? Shall we do that?
Yep.
This is the Chatty Runners podcast.
So, as we come to wrap up this week's podcast episode, it's time for a cool down. And I want you both, for this cool down question, to imagine you're approaching the finish line of a race, any race you can pick, Which song do you want to play when you're crossing the finish line? What song would you love to pop up on your playlist at that moment? Let's go for Dan first.
Okay, so I have quite a few that I would really like to hear. So emotionally, something that speaks that means a lot to me is YMCA by the Village People. So
Love
during the
this.
you're finding out
Great.
so much about me. So during the Stockholm Marathon, I was running along the edge of the harbour on the road, and all of the people from the various apartments were out enjoying the day because they couldn't go anywhere. They thought they'd sit out there, have a few glasses of wine, a bit of a barbecue, play some music. And there was this one group of people I was running past. And as I got to them, I could hear YMCA playing. And as I got to level with them exactly, there's the bit where you do the actions. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. I'm doing it on the video camera. The listener can't see that. And it was one of my favorite moments of that very long day in the sun in Stockholm. Fast forward to the Copenhagen Marathon. I've just broken 4 hours for the marathon for the first time, and what's playing as I cross the finish line? YMCA by the Village People. And it was like, yeah, that's got to be it then. Though in reality, what I want it'd be like some sort of Netflix documentary where I'm crossing the line, and it'd be some sort of dramatic music or some sort of really earthy kind of indie song that kind of speaks, like "Lucky Man" by The Verve, or
Oh, no.
something by Vangelis. So anyway, that's mine.
I'm so glad that the universe chose your favorite finish line song for you because, yeah, YMCA is excellent. And yeah, what you said you would actually like of indie music is my worst nightmare. So I'm very happy. I'm actually going to jump in here because do you know the song Macho Man, also by the Village People? That,
I
I
wanna
love that
be a
song.
macho man.
It's such a good song. Like, upbeat, incredibly camp, just makes you smile. You know, they always say in racing, if you smile, it literally will make the effort level, decrease and everything will feel easier. I want a song that is so cheesy, I can't help but just smile at how stupid it is. So yeah, Macho Man was like right up there. The other song that I love for any, end of a hard run or last rep or finish line is Euphoria, which was the Eurovision a winner from like maybe 12 years ago. So yeah,
Loreen,
that one.
Euphoria.
Yes, it's an incredible song, but again, very camp. So Andre, I don't know if yours is gonna be in the same genre as Dan and
Actually,
mine, but yeah.
can I before Andre answers, sidebar to Andre. Andre, I think we need to have a word with Sophia about her musical taste. There's, is there any cool music you like? I mean,
No,
no,
I
no.
really don't like if it's got a guitar, if it's got real lyrics, if it's been written by a human and not AI, it's not for me.
Yeah.
I really have the worst taste in music, but it's only
She
because
hates
'cause I'm
Ed
the only
Sheeran.
one I care about. Yeah, like, I'm the only one who has to love it, so it's gonna be trash, and that's it.
God,
Yeah.
I just I'm a big fan of Depeche Mode. Are my favorite band ever. I can't run and listen to their music. It's not the sort of thing for listening to. So I will listen to more upbeat kind of disco music, but there's always I always thought there must be another side to your music choice, but yeah. Anyway, Andre.
Mine's a little bit more just because I'm into my defining moments, and I feel like every finishing line that I like ever across in any race is part of my journey. It's part of my defining moment, and it's "Proud" by Heather Small.
Great song.
So
Mm.
I envisage like I'm running on the. I feel like I'm thinking about the London Marathon, that final stretch, and the song's blasting on, and as soon as you've hit that finishing line, it's the "Proud" that bit, and it's just, I'd love that to be on at the finishing line for any race I do. So if there's any race directors listening and I'm participating in your race, if you can play that on repeat just for every single participant, but when I'm crossing the finishing line, if you just make sure that that's on, then I would love you forever.
Yeah, but you would get a copyright strike if you were recording the race on your camera, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
It'd be like, So I got a copyright strike when I crossed the line at the start of the Valencia Marathon. They were playing some really old Spanish song, and Universal Media Group said, "Oh, that's our song. You can't use that." I was like, "But you can barely hear it above my." So I had to the audio. I had to kind of like make it so change the audio so that it was just my vocal. I didn't want to alter it at all, but one of those things. That's just the nature of the internet, isn't it? So I think we should start putting a playlist together for Sophia for music that followers of the podcast can listen to. Maybe do a like a blind listen. So we'll play a little bit of an excerpt of a song, and you can say yes or no whether you want to continue listening to it or not, and then that goes on the playlist. Get 3 songs a week, something like that. I don't know, maybe not. So there we go.
Yeah, I'd listen to an Andre playlist based on his song choice because that is a great song and it's quite cheesy. It's a bit more. I don't know, feelings based rather than pure cheese, but it is camp. So yeah, I'd take that, but I'm not Depeche Mode. Oof. I mean, I don't
I
think I
find
know
it
any of the songs, but I know they're depressing.
well, just can't get enough. I just can't get enough. The
Yeah, I
Saturdays
do know
did a
that one.
version of it. Oh my
Yeah,
god,
theirs was great.
that that's yeah. Anyway, this is not turning into a Depeche Mode podcast in any way, shape, or form. So I think, yeah, that's interesting. Should we move on to what we're going to be doing this weekend? Any matters arising? Anything that anyone wants to just generally throw into the mix?
I want to ask how Andre's birthday weekend was last week.
It was really good. Did a park run on the on I did Bruton Park Run in Solihull, and that was pretty good. And then pretty much had a quiet day for the rest of the day. So I'm currently off work all this week, just because I usually have my either the week before or the week after my birthday off. And we went to the Malvern Hills yesterday. Tomorrow we're going to London to go to the National History Museum. So we're doing that, and
You're
then
traveling.
yes, we're
Yay!
traveling.
That's great.
So yeah, that's what
Malvern's
we've got.
lovely.
It
Yeah.
was really nice. It was really nice. But yeah, that's it. And I'm doing a park run on Saturday as well. This Saturday I'm doing Arrow Valley.
Yeah, because obviously say hello to Mr. Goldsby. And I think Mom will be there as well. I think I was hoping to get along to that as a surprise, but my plans. He says, segueing into my. Sorry to take over your section there.
So,
I'm going to go and do Frimley Lodge down in Hampshire near Farnborough because my daughter is moving down there and we're having to move her into temporary accommodation and then go back in a couple of weeks and move her into an apartment somewhere. So I'm going to get to experience a few park runs in the area, but I did realize something. I was looking at the park run app and it said you are 52% of the way through the park run alphabet, the Alphabeteer challenge. And I suddenly thought, I'm game. Challenge accepted. Let's see how many of these I can get done at some point in the future. And to the point where I was going through thinking, right, what's the nearest Z? Oh, it's in the Netherlands. There's no Zs in the UK, so I can't do a Z in the UK. But V is always a challenge. There was Victoria, somewhere near Northampton, I think it's like that. But Vale Park in Stoke, which is quite close to me, next to the Port Vale Stadium in Burslem. So that'll get my V. The Q, Queenswood, down by you, Sophia. So there are options there. And I would like to finish at Dudley because the letter D, obviously Dan, Dudley, D. Yeah. And it's quite close as well. And it would mean that I could kind of maybe entice a few other people in the area to come along. Maybe say to my mum, do you want to come along to Dudley? It's nice and easy. So there we go.
yeah, it's a nice park run. That is. What about you, Sophia? What are you up to this weekend?
I am off on another trip to Switzerland this time.
Wow.
So yeah, be there for 4 days. And I think it's not too hot now in Europe. I think everything's a bit more normal, but we shall see. I haven't been following the weather that closely. But yes, I'll be in some mountains, which will be lovely. And I'll be doing what I usually do, which is being the world's worst trail runner and mainly sticking to flat routes and enjoying being around mountains and not having to go all the way up to the top of them.
Whereabouts in Switzerland is it, if you don't mind me asking? Not like,
I
I
can't
don't want your hotel
pronounce
room.
it.
Sorry?
I can't pronounce it.
So it's not like Geneva or Zurich or anywhere like that?
I fly into Zurich, but then it's 2 hours away.
Right.
So yeah, in near the Eiger. I know how to say that.
I was lucky enough, when my wife and I celebrated 30 years together, we decided to go to Geneva for a weekend away, and it was lovely. But it was it was really weird because my wife turned up expecting it to be, like, icy and snowy, and it was by the Sunday afternoon, it was like, "I've gotta take off these layers of coats." It was really hot, so and yeah, it's a lovely place, Switzerland, very clean, very nice, very safe, lots of chocolate. So that's good.
I hadn't thought about that,
Excellent.
but that's great.
Yes. Oh, yeah, yeah. Chocolates, cakes, the whole shebang. Very, very enjoyable place. So that's our plans for the weekend. So should we go through our socials? So Sophia, your socials, you're only on Instagram. We haven't yet convinced you to come over
Yes.
to YouTube. What's your handling?
No, it would be TikTok if anywhere else, but I
Okay.
don't have the time. I don't have the time to do that. Yes, on Instagram at Sophia the Runner.
Okay. And Andre?
You can catch me everywhere at Andre Runs with a Z.
Andre runs with a Z, and I am Other Adventures Await Me on Instagram and Other Adventures Await Me on YouTube. We also have a Chatty Runners podcast Instagram, which is simply just Chatty Runners Podcast on Instagram. It's as simple as that. And there is a Chatty Runners channel on YouTube, but we just put the podcast out to that there. So if you have anything you want to tell us, then please, by all means, drop us a comment below on Spotify. And there we go. Have a lovely, lovely rest of the week. It's Wednesday, by the way. We're about to disappear, I assume, to go and watch England playing Argentina in the World Cup semi-final. No, Sophia's shaking her head no. Andre's shaking his head yes. I've not watched any of the football, but I'm going to go and watch this one. So we will find out this evening whether it's coming home or not. So thank you very much, Sophia. Have a lovely weekend.
Thank you. You
And
too.
thank you very much, Andre. Have a lovely weekend. This has been episode 5 of the Chatty Runners podcast, and we will hopefully see you out running somewhere. Have a lovely time. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.